So in this video, we're gonna see about experiment number 4, single layer perceptron. So first, in order to do the experiment, first in this step, I import the required Python libraries such as pandas, numpy, and matplotlib. So pandas is used for handling and processing the dataset, and numpy is used for numerical computations, and finally matplot is used to visualize the training results using graphs. So next step, we load the dataset. So we load the iris dataset using the pandas library. It is stored in a CSV file, and I print the number of rows and number of columns to make sure that we have uploaded the right data set. And next, we do some necessary pre-processing like data imputation with mean for null values and label encoding. So I check whether the data set contains any missing values. This df dot is null of sum, and if missing values exist, they are replaced using the mean value here. They are replaced using the mean value here of the corresponding column. This process is called data imputation. So we go to the next one where I encode the categorical column. So most machine learning models require numerical values. So the categorical class labels are converted into numerical values. So iris setosa here is mapped to 0 and iris versicolor is mapped to 1. So iris setosa is here, one of the columns, and iris versicolor here is also one of the columns. So it is assigned to or mapped to 0 and 1. So next we choose the independent variables, and we define that the independent targets or the dependent targets. Here I separate the input features and the target variables. The four flower measurements are the independent variables, and the species column is used as the target variable. And next we go on to standardize the data. Here the data is standardized so that all features have similar scale. It helps the model to learn more efficiently during training. And next we're going to split the data set and we're going to test it. So first, data set is shuffled randomly to ensure training and testing is distributed properly. We're shuffling because to make sure that what we're training and what we're testing, the data are distributed properly. So here we can see train size in 8.8% LNDF. So 80% of the data set is used for training and 20% is used for testing the model. So as you can see the output here, so we took the training set size as 80% and the testing set size as 20%. And next, we just give or we just initialize perceptron parameters such as the learning rate, which is kept as 0.01. So it controls how much the weights are updated during training. And for iterations, we giving for 100. So the model will run for 100 iterations. Bias giving 0 and error as a square bracket. So the weights are initially set to 0 and the bias is also initialized to 0. So seventh one, we just start a loop to train the model. So for epoch in range iterations means here it says that the training process of the perceptron model, each iterations processes all the training samples once. So the weighted sum of the input features is calculated here. Linear output is equal to np dot xi weights. Based on the weighted sum, the perceptron predicts the class label. So before that, we do the weighted sum of input features gets calculated. We calculate the weighted sum of the input features, and then based on that weighted sum, it predicts the class labels. And then here update this part between the this one, the way says that the weights are updated accordingly. The error between the predicted value and the actual value is calculated here. So final weights are printed here. After training the perceptron model, the final weights and the final bias are displayed. These parameters define the decision boundary of the classifier. And then we go over again to plot the graph. It shows the graph is shown here. This one, This graph shows a relationship between the number of training iterations and the number of misclassification errors. As number of iterations increase, the error usually decreases. As you can see here, as it increases, the number of iteration gets decreased here, and the misclassification gets higher and higher, indicating that the model is learning. So at last we predict the data. The trained Perceptron model is used to predict the class labels for the training dataset. And finally, we evaluate the model's performance, such as confusion matrix used to evaluate the performance of the classification model. It shows the number of correct and incorrect predictions made by the model. And also, we just do something more like confusion matrix. Uh, Confusion matrix, which is, yeah, we do it to evaluate the performance of the classification model. And then accuracy scores, it represents the overall correctness, how many predicted values are correct. It measures that predicted positives are correct. Recall actually measures the actual positives were correctly identified. And finally, the F1 score is the harmonic mean of the precision and recall. So this is how we train a single layer perceptron model. Thank you.